What's up, YouTube, Instagram, smashers? How's everybody doing? So, this is a very long overdue update video on my 12-week cut, and so I'm going to combine update 4 and update 5 into one video and explain my absence. And so, I had a speed wobble, a very, very definite speed wobble. Last Friday, I was coming off a week where I was hungry all the time. And Talia got really quite sick of me going, I'm really hungry all the time. And it culminated in a Thursday where I was so hungry that I wasn't able to wait like I normally do for my evening meal to have the bulk of my calories. And so I had most of them at lunch, leaving me with 150 calories for my dinner. And I made do. I actually powered through that by having half a pineapple. So that is a bit of a tip there. Food volume, low calorie density food can definitely help you when you're feeling hungry. And I made it to Friday, and then on Friday I just felt unbelievably awful, and I cracked, and I ate all the things. Everything. I had a McDonald's breakfast, I had a whole tub of ice cream, I had like a double helping of oats, and then went out for dinner at a friend's house and ate starters, double helping of mains, double helping of desserts, all of the wine. Yeah, went pretty hard. Now, the net result of this is that I am a tad behind schedule. I'm sitting at 73 kilos, so I haven't lost ground, but I should now be at 72.3 to 5 kilos. So a little bit behind schedule there. Not a problem. As soon as I I'm now back on track, that will help. So I wanted to talk a little bit about why that all went wrong. As I start, you can see a little bit of me now, where you can see the condition I'm in, and actually that's improving. Still, I'm even now beginning to see little bits of like serratus at the sides there in good lighting, and seeing a few more shapes and bits of muscles and things that I'm not used to seeing. So that's pretty cool. Progress is still happening. But yeah, I want to talk about why things went wrong for me there and how I recovered from that speed wobble. Now, I think that the reason why things went wrong for me was because unintentionally I started eating foods that were more high calorie density, meaning lower volume, meaning I was able to get through a lot of calories and not feel full. Now, if you're in this for the long haul, and if you know that you're going to be getting hungry, food that's bulky, like the aforementioned half a pineapple, like vegetables, like potatoes, they allow you to get in a lot of food bulk, so you can eat more weight in food and you can have a fuller stomach, but without the calorie expenditure. So I unintentionally got away from that, and that's because I had a couple of days where I wasn't tracking and properly paying attention to my food. And so this is it, it's quite simple when you're doing something new and the habits and behaviors aren't fully formed, for you to do the wrong thing, even with just a couple of days less focus. So after this binge of mine happened, I felt terrible for a couple of days, but what I did was I got straight back to work. I got straight back to my diet as is. I didn't try and go straight in the next day hugely under calories, although that could be a strategy. I just decided to go straight back into it, accept the day as it was, and then get back to work, but with a renewed focus on eating food that is low calorie density, high volume. So that means way more veggies, way more things like potatoes. So for example, 250 grams of boiled new potatoes is only about 180 calories. It's quite a lot of food volume, quite filling. Now, the second thing that I've done, as I am now coming into 6 or 7 weeks remaining of my cut, and it's going to be getting harder from here on out, is I have accepted and the need for and made a commitment to caffeinated drinks to help me with the energy in the morning. So I'm going to stick to my rule of minimizing caffeine post 12 p.m, but pre 12 p.m, I'm going to go with a normal 1 or 2 cups of coffee plus some kind of energy drink of the zero or low calorie variety, whether that's a Red Bull or a Monster or a Heat or actually a pre-workout. They're all basically caffeine plus stuff. A lot of them are caffeine plus B vitamins, which are good for other things, caffeine plus taurine, caffeine plus stuff. These have the combined effects of keeping your energy high when you're in a calorie deficit and suppressing your appetite. So that then helps me get through the morning, because normally I'm up at 5:30, go all the way through to 12 or 1 o'clock without needing to eat, have a nice sized lunch, and then have a nice sized dinner. And that's been working really well for me in the last week, and so now I'm right back on track. I'm going to keep that up, track how I go over the next couple of weeks, and it's a test, right? Everything, you've got to figure it out for yourself, what really works for you. For me, I've never pushed this deep into a cut because I'm normally quite happy with where I get to after 3 or 4 weeks, and this is all new ground for me. So I'm having to be very, very careful to pay attention to how my mind feels, how my body feels, and to calibrate and adjust accordingly. Because, in theory, I stick to 2100 calories, I get to the calorie goal, easy peasy, but in reality, all sorts of mind games can be played upon you by being in a deficit and being hungry for a lot of the day and a lot of the time. So my tip there, you've got to be extra focused on how you react to things. And you may notice, and if you've got some good friends or some good people that can be honest with you, you may notice that you get a little bit more snappy, that your mood's affected. You may notice that your sleep gets affected. Here, just as a caveat, I'm really talking for people who are wanting to get super lean. This isn't for people who are just looking to lose the extra fat and get down to a normal healthy weight. This is for people who are looking to take it to that next level where it's going to affect hormones, mood, sleep, and other things. If you're going from overweight to healthy weight and you've got a lot of extra fat to get rid of, this should be much less of a factor for quite a long time, but don't underestimate how powerful being hungry for a long period of time can be on everything that you do and how it can really sneak up on you. So it's for this reason that I still am planning on taking a diet break for a whole week, around about week 8 or 9. And that's just so that my mind can stay sharp, I can stay in the game, and I can give my body a little bit of a break so that then I can push really hard for the remaining 3 weeks. But again, I'm going to play that how it goes. Wherever I end up, I'm going to make a decision from there. So with all of that said, I want to switch gears just a little bit and talk about mindset, and in particular the effect and the power that your beliefs have over actually your physiology, stuff in real life. People have the tendency to think of beliefs as nebulous, incorporeal, things that aren't really real, kind of like ghosts in the brain. But the reality is that your beliefs can change your physiology. Now, it's hard to imagine this when you're trying to think of positive things, and often this is where people get tripped up and they think that it's a bit hippy-trippy, happy-clappy. But if you imagine a negative scenario, so let's think about something really extreme. Imagine that some horrible person rang you up and told you that someone that you loved dearly had just been in a car accident and had died. How that would make you feel. You would probably start getting clammy hands. You would probably start feeling your heart rate increase. You would probably start breathing more deeply. You would feel anxious. You'd feel sick. You'd feel nauseous. You would have a whole host of different problems and symptoms actually manifest in reality in your physical body. And then let's say that actually this was false and the guy was just lying to you on the phone. That doesn't make your response any less real. That physical behavior that happened as a result of your belief was 100% real in the real world. Now, when you understand how powerful this is in the negative, hopefully that gives you some idea of how powerful your beliefs can be when they work for you in the positive. And it's a little bit harder and the results are a little bit less immediate. But if you actually spend the time to brainwash yourself and reprogram your brain into positive patterns, those things will manifest into reality. And this is really not some voodoo bullshit. This really is real stuff. So, for example, simply telling yourself that this doesn't hurt that much is enough to make things hurt less. And that's something that's been studied before in real human lab rats and experiments. Now, for example, there are other things that you can do positively to help you. When it comes to stuff like aggression, swearing can actually make you stronger in the moment. Feeling angry and likewise can make you physically stronger in the moment too. So your emotions can be very powerful, and your emotions and your beliefs are deeply intertwined. And if you're able to begin lassoing them and harnessing them for your own abilities, then you're going to see your results dramatically improve from where you were before. Now, even in the neutral case here, if you simply identify some negative beliefs that you have and address them, you're going to notice that they're no longer a drag factor on your success. You've suddenly anchors away, and now you're able to move much faster and much more happily. And that's regardless of whether or not you've even replaced them with positive belief systems. So this is another chance for you to audit the way you look at the world, the way you think about the world, and the way you think about yourself. Now, I had one which was, I used to tell myself that I'm an introvert and I just don't like being around groups of people, and that it makes me tired. And as a result, that's how I felt every time I was around groups of people. I found it exhausting, I found it tiring, and I really didn't enjoy it. And it meant that I wasn't always the best person to be around, and I wasn't particularly good at socializing and making new friends. I realized that this was a problem, and I realized that in order for me to achieve some of the things that I want to achieve, that actually I'd have to force myself to get comfortable doing something that I didn't think was a skill. And so I made the decision to tell myself the lie, as I thought it was at the time, that actually I love being in crowds and I love meeting new people, and that gives me energy. And it's about 2 years down the line since I made that conscious decision, and now it feels like the truth more often than not. Now I don't feel like I'm lying to myself when I say that. And as a result, the new people that I meet now actually think that I'm better at new social interactions than people that I would have met 3 or 4 years ago, because I have managed to change my beliefs, and as a result, I've physically changed the way that I interact with the world. So it's a very powerful tool, and you've got to expect it to take time. You've got to expect to commit to it for the long haul, as with anything that is worth anything in life. But if there's something that's holding you back right now, if you're telling yourself, I'm just not X or I am just Y, start telling yourself the opposite. Internally believe the lie. Tell yourself it often enough, and eventually it becomes reality to you, and your behaviors will change. This isn't the same as faking it till you make it. I don't believe in pretending to be something that you're not to the outside world. I don't believe in people dressing up in stupidly expensive suits when they don't have any money in order to impress people, things along that line. But if you can start impressing yourself, and if you can start reprogramming the way you think about yourself, stuff like fat loss, stuff like getting in shape, stuff like working out, creating a plan and sticking to it is going to be really trivial by comparison. And the more and more I get into this, the more and more that I think people work out in order to feel better about themselves, but actually the other way around is how things actually happen. People who feel good about themselves end up looking good and feeling good as a result. So food for thought, let me know what you think. If you're enjoying this, I have a request of you, and that's that you share it with one person that you think will also appreciate what we're doing here at Smash Weights. Lots of love to all of you. Subscribe, give it a like, give it a share, and I'll see you next time.